Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the Roderick Geo channel. Today, we're going to be watching an Odd Compass video as requested by Bunny Smasher over on the Discord. The Odd Compass video that we're going to be watching is that time the Portuguese brought an Inquisition to India. And it does here look like it's in reference to Goa. Let's go ahead and see here. Yes, history of Goa. So as you may or may not know, most of you probably know, a lot of European countries, nations, set up ports and colonies all across India before the British took over. And the Portuguese was one of them. France was one of them. But yeah, the Portuguese had a very, very strong hold on Goa. And even to this day, a lot of like Portuguese things like I don't know, just not things. What am I things? I'm trying to reference like carnival and traditions. A lot of Portuguese like traditions. There we go. Are still very prevalent even in Goa. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and watch this. Odd Compass is a great video. This is an older video of his, but you know what? That's perfectly fine with me. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
In 1510 CE, the Portuguese Empire, as part of its
Oh, I like this. How they have a little table of contents for the different empires. Okay, cool.
ambitious plan to dominate Indian Ocean trade, conquered the province of Goa from the Bijapur Sultanate. Goa was made the capital of Portuguese India. Though they were initially welcomed by the native population, the Portuguese quickly showed the natives just how foolish they were to trust them.
Foolish? Foolish?
In 1560 CE, the Portuguese brought their Catholic Inquisition all the way to Goa. In doing so, the Portuguese sought to establish a Catholic stronghold in Asia, where religious laws would be strictly enforced. Both natives and Portuguese settlers were subject to extreme punishment: loss of property, imprisonment, torture, and even death by immolation. The Goan Inquisition created a persecution hell. As Voltaire once remarked, Goa is famous for its Inquisition, equally contrary to humanity and commerce. The Portuguese monks made us believe that the people worship the devil, but it is the monks themselves who have served him. In 1492 CE, Spain expelled all Muslims and Jews who refused to convert.
Okay, hold up. I thought the video was going to be a lot more, not like, okay, I should have known from the word Inquisition. Okay. All right. It's one of those types of videos. All right. It's going to be, maybe a bit on the heavy side, which is perfectly fine. So what is this about Muslims and Jews?
Convert to Christianity. Spain expelled all Muslims and Jews who refused to convert to Christianity. Many tens of thousands of religious minorities fled to Portugal for safety, but soon, the Portuguese also began to adopt discriminatory ideas. And so in 1497 CE, the King of Portugal, Manuel I, ordered that all Muslims and Jews be forcibly converted to Christianity. Converts came to be known as New Christians. New Christians comprised an identifiable social class distinct from normal Christians. The New Christians were subject to violence and discrimination. Pious normal Christians simply didn't trust the New Christians, who were believed to practice their old religions in secret. Unsurprisingly,
okay, hold on. I may be a bit ignorant, right? I'm not religious, so I don't really know much, but they're all the Abrahamic belief, correct? They literally all follow the same God. Why is there so much persecution between them? It's something that I've never really understood. But again, I'm not Christian. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Catholic. I'm not Jewish. I'm agnostic, right? Like, I believe that there's something more. I just don't know what that something more may be. But when it comes to like just the conflicts that the conflicts that start because of religion, man, it's ridiculous. But sorry, we'll keep going.
when the Portuguese Empire established a colony at Goa in 1510 CE, many new Christians fled for India, hoping to escape persecution. Goa was especially attractive for new Christians of Jewish heritage, as there were long-standing Jewish communities in South India. For example, the Malabari Jews living in Kerala. This allowed Portuguese New Christians to
Judaism like got to India really soon, right? Like super early on.
rediscover their Jewish faith. Back in Portugal, a much harsher approach was adopted after the formal establishment of the Inquisition in 1536 CE, with the approval of the Pope. Notably, this Inquisition only applied to Portugal, not to any foreign colonies. The Portuguese Inquisition became a theocratic arm of the state, subject to the authority of the king. It was headed by a Grand Inquisitor named by the Pope but selected by the king, and always from within the royal family. The Grand Inquisitor would then later nominate other inquisitors. Finally, courts of the Inquisition were set up throughout Portugal. Though tasked with defending the integrity of the faith, examining false doctrines, and forbidding heresy against Catholic Christianity, the Inquisition also served a political function. It censored books, attacked political dissidents, banned non-standard cultural practices, and more. In its initial few decades, the Portuguese administration in Goa was relatively open-minded. It was helmed by adventurous, worldly men who relied on new Christians and natives for assistance. Life was cosmopolitan. Portuguese settlers were encouraged to marry native women. The city of Goa had a vibrant Jewish street, and early Portuguese missionaries made efforts to learn the local language.
Okay, well that's good, right? Like this seems amazing. This is fantastic.
Goa changed in the coming decades as the number of religiosos, clergymen, and missionaries grew. The religiosos soon became a significant force in Portuguese India. The royalty backed their extremist religious views and began to take steps to impose those views, even before a formal inquisition had been established in Goa. First, the Portuguese administration started to offer financial incentives for converting Hindus and Muslims over to Catholicism. Then, in 1546 CE, the Portuguese king also issued an order destroying all Hindu temples in Portuguese Indian lands.
That's terrible. Okay.
By 1569 CE, a royal letter acknowledged that all Hindu temples in Goa had been demolished outright. Records indicate that well over 760 temples in Goa alone were razed to the ground. Policies regarding Indian Muslims were also oppressive. Though mosques were not outright destroyed in the pre-Inquisition era, a heavy tax was levied to ensure that they would be incapable.
Okay, so why weren't mosques destroyed, but all the Hindu temples were?
Of normal operation. The Goan Inquisition was jump-started in 1543 CE with the arrival of Saint Francis Xavier, co-founder of the Jesuits. According to Saint Francis, Portuguese settlers were engaged in scandalous and undisciplined behavior by adopting native customs and forming relationships with non-Christian women. And so, in 1546 CE, Saint Francis, from his new base in Malacca, sent a letter to the Portuguese king, John III, requesting that an inquisition be established in Goa. St. Francis's request was finally granted in 1560 CE, and a formal inquisition was established in Goa. The Inquisition headquartered itself in the former palace of the Bijapur Sultan. The Goan Inquisition had many facets. Beyond subjecting individuals to its tribunals and judgments, it had an influence on colonial administration. Thus, Portuguese religious and secular infrastructure was deployed to destroy the enemies of the Inquisition. Any behavior deemed heretical was punished, and the list of heretical behaviors was broad and vaguely defined, leaving the Inquisition open to corruption. Financial incentives were given to citizens to disclose the transgressions of their family, friends, and neighbors, leading to false accusations for profit or revenge.
This is just... why can't we just get along? Why can't everyone just get along?
Citizen accusers were given 50% of the property taken after a conviction, and inquisitors were given the remaining 50%.
Well, of course there was going to be something like this. Of course there's going to be all sorts of false reports when you have something like that happening.
As such, there was ample reason to convict those who were not actually guilty. The Portuguese religiosos took advantage of their position to gain wealth and influence. They seized property for themselves, maintained luxury estates, and even had native concubines. The religiosos used the Goan Inquisition,
so rules for thee but not for me in this instance, okay,
to remake themselves into a sort of colonial nobility. How did the Inquisition process work? Simply put, those who were accused were charged with a heretical crime and were presumed guilty. The accused had up to 40 days to confess. If they did not, then they would be subject to a trial. During trial, the inquisitorial officials could apply torture to extract confessions. Witnesses would also be brought forth to testify. After the trial was prosecuted, the convicted would be forced to undergo a punishment at the final step of the Inquisition process, the auto de fe, an hours-long event in which both religious and civil authorities were in attendance. The auto de fe was a well-orchestrated public penance of great pomp and ceremony. There would be a night of prayer and a breakfast feast, followed by a procession of prisoners. Prisoners were then taken to the quemadero, or burning place, where their punishment was read out. Those who were acquitted, or who had their punishment suspended, were expected to fall to the ground and give thanks. The remaining prisoners would be subject to a variety of punishments, depending on the severity of their supposed religious crime. Fines, public whipping, a term of imprisonment, torture, execution, and worst of all, burning the convicted prisoner alive at the stake. In Goa, Portuguese authorities feared that visiting Jews from the Malabar...
Bro, this is intense. I should have known by the term Inquisition. I guess that just flew right over my head. I had no idea that this video would be showcasing such intensity. Again, why can't we just all get along, man? This is crazy. This is really, really shocking, honestly.
Coast and the Middle East were causing formerly Jewish new Christians to lapse into their old faith. Certainly, many new Christians were rediscovering their old faith. Secret synagogues were established. Many new Christians practiced Judaism privately in Goa and publicly when traveling outside its borders. Fearing that foreign Jews were influencing new Christians, the Portuguese viceroy decided to ban Jews from Goa outright on December 16, 1565. Any Jews who entered Goa would have their property appropriated by the state. This action is believed to have caused an exodus of Jewish new Christians to the Malabar coast and the Middle East. As Jewish new Christians comprised a significant portion of the merchant class in Goa, these actions took a major toll on the ability of the Portuguese Empire to compete commercially. Those who remained in Goa were subject to oppression. Consider the new Christian professor Garcia da Horta, who worked as a physician for the Bijapur Sultan in the mid-1500s. He discovered that his sister was burned alive at the stake in Goa for the crime of Judaizing. During her inquisition, she even confessed that her brother Garcia was also a practicing Jew in secret. But while the Goan Inquisition did target Jewish new Christians and Muslims, its primary target was Hindus. After the onset of the Goan Inquisition, sweeping anti-Hindu laws were imposed by the colonial administration to expunge native culture and religion, and to incentivize conversion to Christianity. Curiously, the Portuguese didn't see the caste system as a problem. In fact, they openly embraced the caste system as an analog to social mores in Europe. This wholesale embrace of the caste system won converts from high caste elites, Brahmins and Kshatriyas. Even today, Goan Christians with Brahmin heritage refer to themselves as Bamans and can recall their original Brahmin surnames. By comparison,
I don't really understand the caste system either, to be honest with you.
low-caste Hindus and converts were treated harshly. Restrictions on Hinduism included the open practice of Hinduism, from ceremonies to festivals, was outlawed, and violators faced the death penalty.
The death penalty?
Hindus were forced to occasionally attend church to listen to critiques of Hinduism. Hindu priests were prohibited from entering Goa. Mere ownership of religious idols was made a criminal offense. Hindus were unacceptable as witnesses in legal proceedings, making it easy for Christians to use the courts to escape justice.
And you know what's wild about all this? Between all like the different religions that I've looked into and I've seen and I've read on or I've watched videos on, like Hinduism like seems the most like down to earth, right? It seems like the most solid religion, at least for like a base of understanding of like more. Okay, sorry.
Hindus were forbidden from constructing new temples or repairing damaged ones. Christians were prohibited from employing Hindus. Hindus were forbidden from participation in village assemblies in areas with Christian majorities. Hindus were not entitled to hold public office. A heavy tax known as shendi was imposed on Hindus living in Goa. As if all that wasn't enough, the Portuguese implemented a system so unjust that it garnered international scrutiny. Hindu orphans were to become wards of the Jesuits and converted to Christianity. But here's the problem. The Portuguese defined an orphan as any Hindu child whose father had died. Thus, children with complete...
Yeah, I was going to say, so they're just going to take him from the mother or, like, any other family they had?
Families, living with their mother, aunts, uncles, and grandparents, were declared orphans and taken away to be converted. And when one of these orphans was seized by the Jesuits, the property of the parents was seized too.
What? What?
Historians have even found instances where Portuguese authorities would extort money from the families for the return of these orphans. All things considered, it's really no surprise that there was a mass exodus of non-Christians out of Goa. Most Hindus and Muslims moved across the border and resettled in the Bijapur Sultanate. The Sultanate was significantly more friendly to Hindus than the Portuguese colonial government. In fact, the Bijapur Sultans were known for their amicable nature and fairness towards local Hindus and their culture. The Hindus who stayed behind were forced to suffer the many indignities of living in Portuguese Goa. But even the
Yeah, why would you even stay in this instance? You see all this happening all around you, to all your friends, family, your people, you know, why would you stay?
ones who converted to Catholic Christianity were restricted in many ways from maintaining their old customs. In fact, history records many new Christians who left Goa due to the oppression they faced even after conversion. Formerly Hindu new Christians were not allowed to maintain their native language names, and the Portuguese suppressed Konkani, Marathi, and Sanskrit so as to separate converts from their roots. Books in native languages were burned. By the end of the 1500s
Wow.
CE, the persecution hell created by the Portuguese religiosos had scared away much of the talent that the empire needed to maintain its position at the top of the international trade hierarchy. The loss of well-connected merchants, formerly Jewish new Christians and Hindus alike, crippled the competitive ability of the Portuguese in India. The religiosos made Goa a less attractive trade entrepot. Eventually, the Dutch were able to swoop in and establish themselves as the dominant European trading force in the subcontinent. Sadly, much of what we know about the Portuguese Inquisition in Goa has been lost due to the majority of the records having been destroyed by the Portuguese government in 1821 CE, the same year that the Inquisition was abolished, ending nearly 3 centuries of oppression and bloodshed. But the terror and oppression brought by the Inquisition will never be forgotten.
I legitimately had no idea it was that bad. I seriously did not. What is this? Is North India stealing from South India? Okay. Maybe I need to watch that one. The Dark Past of Goa. I legitimately had no idea. No idea this was a thing. That was, again, I just don't understand why can't we just all get along, man? Religion, man, it feels like it just causes so much conflict. Why? All right, well, it's time to read the comments. I'm interested to see what the comments have to say about this. Make sure to make sure to give Odd Compass a subscribe and a like, and the link to this video will be in the description below, by the way. I don't think I said that at the very beginning, but yeah, I always put the link to the description of the videos. Or I always put the link to the video in the description of my video, so you can go and give them a watch, a sub, and a like as well, please. That would be wonderful. It's also worth pointing out that Afonso made laws for the integration of Portuguese in Goan society, most times against the church. He gave financial incentives to Goan women who married Portuguese men and applied stricter punishment to any Portuguese who hurt a Goan. This because although bloodthirsty, Alfonso was pragmatic to know he had to do nation building and diplomacy with the little manpower he had. It was when he left for voyages that the priests terrorized the population, Portuguese included. So it was the priests, literally the priests. This comment actually got pinned as well. I came from a Goan Hindu family, and my ancestors escaped Goa, thankfully. I'm Hindu living in Karnataka, but every year we visit Goa as our family temple is still situated there. I'm greatly in debt of my ancestors for making the decision of preserving our culture in Sanskrit. There is an African community called Sidis. They were African captured slaves that escaped from Portuguese sailors that ran into the dense western Ghat jungles and are now settled in Yalapura in Uttara Kannada, Karnataka. Okay. I heard of this. Someone linked the video. I haven't watched it yet. They linked it like like months ago, and I haven't watched it yet. I had no idea this was a thing. India has such a violent and tragic history, especially when looking at the colonialism era. It's true. Like you go back and you like originally, I wanted to do India because it interested me geographically, right? Like just a lot of the terrain, the locations, the diversity was very, very beautiful to me, and I wanted to know more about that. And that's when I started doing, these reaction videos to learn more about the geography, and of course, along with the geography, the history of India. And before I started doing these reaction videos, I had no idea about the history of India. And then when you take a look at the history of India, especially within the past few hundred years, it is just brutal, sheer brutality, like the ugliest sides of humanity, and what other people have done to the Indians. It, it really is just unspeakable. The amount of genocides and murders, and my heart goes out to everyone. Like it India's history, especially during these colonial times, is brutal beyond belief. So I find it extremely sad that most Indians themselves don't know anything about the episode of Indian history. Thank you for talking about controversial topics. Indians need open discourse on these things. Many such things like this were hidden from history books in India. Fact, when the Portuguese discovered the magnificent elephant caves located near Mumbai, instead of preserving, they used the idols and walls for target practice with their new guns and destroyed hundreds of idols which were more than 1,000 years old. Wow. You'd find many Brahmin houses bearing Goan surnames in the Argaharas around the Shiva temple in Gokarna, Karnataka. I guess they have been the descendants of Goan Brahmins who escaped Goa during the persecution. My ancestors were Goan Hindus. I am grateful that they escaped this hell and safely came to Karnataka. My ancestors escaped Goa too. We still speak Konkani and carry Goan surnames, like mine is Vernekar, which means a person from Verna, which is a town in Goa. Wow. I'd like to read some of the newer comments just to see. The video is older, so the newer comments could be a little bit more could be more interesting. Thanks so much for sharing. Caste system is cancer for Indian society. I agree. As Portuguese myself, I am ashamed of the evil Catholic Inquisition that killed so many innocent people. That's why Abrahamic religion is more destructive of the world than world war. But the Muslims are the problem, not Christians. Thank you, sir. This is mostly fake. Saint Xavier sent letter requesting an inquisition in Indonesia, not India. Go read history first. At these times, Indonesia was called Indian Islands. Filthy Christian rice bag. Okay. Don't know what that means. Did Jesus taught his followers to convert the people of other religions with torture? I don't know. Portuguese were so cool. What? Portuguese were so cool. Wow. This is extreme brutality, and the father of the Jesuit order was on top of it all. Psychos. It was the Jesuit and the Roman Catholic cult who brought the Inquisition. The real Christians, like Nestorians, Baptists, Moravians, Methodists, and other reforms, except for the Calvinists bunch, don't believe in church-state system or Inquisition. Yeah, I thought it was. It is like the Catholics. Catholic is like the main thing, right? The main persecutor or the proprietor of Inquisitions is like the Catholics. It's always been done like that, right? I'm going and I pray Inquisition to be restored. What the fuck? What? I am a going and I pray the Inquisition to be restored. Okay. Oh, it's about Scammer State, India. Boring. Oh, come on. Scammer State. Based Portugal. Holy heck, dude. I find that CE denoted after the year is unnecessary. We are speaking of Portugal, and the customary calendar is known. The Goan Inquisition sentenced 126 people to death at the stake during 2.5 centuries. A Hindu reconquista throughout the India seems more and more desirable. And what does this mean? I don't know. Nobody expects the Portuguese Inquisition. Local and international tourists have destroyed Goa. Okay. India always had persecution among themselves through their dirty caste system. Unbelievable that the Inquisition had its vile, blood-stained tentacles slithering through any part of India's subcontinent. I guess that I should have expected it, knowing full well the religious hell Europe was going through in the 16th century. The scholars stated the Portuguese domination as the most cruel colonialization, followed by the Spaniards. Awful things were done by colonialist countries. So yeah, you get it. The newer comments tend to be a little bit more unhinged. Um, what is this? As you know, it's truly incredible that our ancestors were such assholes, and at the same time had so many balls to beat up and to breed. What? Okay. There are still many Indian Goans who love Portugal even today. Yeah, my ex is brainwashed Portuguese Catholic from Goa to this day. Well, you gotta realize that the people in Portugal aren't the same people that did those things in the past, right? Don't lay the crimes of the father on the son, right? You don't do that. um, Otherwise, we'll just keep blaming each other for the things we've done in history throughout time, and nothing will be resolved. Um, why were the Peshwas rejected by their own people? I don't know. Let karma repay. This is the level of Western liberalism. Let history be recorded that the Hindus who found shelter in the Muslim sultanates today have turned their tables against their Muslim neighbors and have become the new inquisitors under the Grand Inquisitor of Modi, the Butcher of Gujarat. Modi, the Butcher of Gujarat. That's the first time I've heard that name for him. If you're not Indian, then you have no right to talk about internal issues. Is this person not Indian? Doesn't say where they're from. Okay. Rollo May quotes Rollo. What is this? Palestinians, okay. One day in Palestine, the wind will carry laughter instead of screams, okay. May Allah protect you and your family from evil. Picture of gratitude from the highest level. May Allah shower Gaza with mercy and grace. Support Palestine. Okay, interesting. I don't know. I have no idea. Well, as you can see, the newer comments tend to be unhinged. The top comments seem to be thankful uh, for the video, right? That's usually what tends to happen. Is the top comments are very appreciative of the video being made, and the new comments are always random. And that's why I like to read the newer comments as well. The top comments, can be a bit repetitive, but the newer comments, you never know. You literally never know what's going to happen in the newer comments. Um, this is the same kind of approach the missionaries had in Kerala. Convert the upper caste first. I think this is to influence the other castes more effectively, make propagation of Christianity more easier. Make video of the sufferings of Telangana Hindus under Raza cars. in Nijam's rule. What is this? Can someone explain a little bit more to me? Hmm. My answer is escape from Goa. Um, I bet Indians in Goa never knew their heritage. Hats off to your channel. They probably did, considering that Goa remained a part of Portugal until 1961. All right. Well, with that being said, guys, again, go check out Odd Compass. Link to the video in the description. And if you liked my video, uh, please be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below as well. You can recommend me a video. I will. I can't promise that I'll get to it. I have literally like 100+ videos in my to watch list. So it's just a matter of I'll react to things that interest me at the time, right? So I can promise you I'll add it to the list. And if you go to the Discord, of course, I'll probably see that a little bit sooner than some of the other ways to contact me. So, yeah. All I'm trying to say is, if you recommend a video, I can potentially watch it, right? So, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and go. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.